Hello and welcome back to yet another interesting video on this channel. In today's video, we'll discuss how blocking kills async rust. We'll visualize the problem, understand, and then discuss the solution. So if you want to program async rust like a pro, make sure you stick around and watch till the end. First of all, let's understand the problem. How blocking task kills async operation. So right here we have asynchronous task where we simulate with a sleep, but think of it as some fetch, some DB call or sending out an email. And then we have blocking task. Think of it as a sleep or wait or some synchronous file IO or even some heavy CPU operation. Now here we are using thread sleep, which is blocking. And then right here for simulation, we are using Tokio sleep, which is an asynchronous analog of thread sleep. So right here, we'll just build some task and we'll simulate some asynchronous tasks. And there we have a blocking operation. And then we have Tokio join with async task 1, async task 2, and then there's a blocking task. And if you have been programming async Rust or following my channel for some time now, we already have discussed Tokio join. But just for a reminder, Tokio join runs multiple asynchronous tasks concurrently on the same thread and waits for all of them to complete, returning their results. Now let's see what happens. Like, do the asynchronous tasks just execute without getting blocked, or because they are part of same join, are they getting blocked? Let's see. So let's try to run this. And there you go, task 1, task 2, and then there is a blocking. For how much? For 5 seconds we were blocked. Blocking task started, blocking task finished, and only then our asynchronous task could continue. Now think of the problem that we were simulating or discussed in the start. Your blocking task may be just writing some logs to your file, and then you have your asynchronous task sending out emails. So by the time you are not able to complete the IO or your blocking task, all the asynchronous tasks are blocked, meaning the emails that you are sending out, the requests that you are sending out, the DB calls that you are making, all of them were blocked until your blocking task could finish. So this is a serious problem if you are someone really looking to ace up your Rust programming and go to pro level. So how do you solve this? So let's discuss the solution. Everything else remains as it is. Our asynchronous task, our main remains as it is. The only part we change is the blocking task. Previously, we were just having this statement, which is our blocking task itself. As I mentioned, it's a simulation of something which is blocking by wait or sleep, but you can have some heavy CPU operation or some IO, and then everything else remains same. But what we did is we wrapped it in spawn blocking, and then we await and unwrap and just finish the blocking task. Now first of all, let's run this and see the difference, visualize, and then we discuss how spawn blocking solves this problem and how does it work internally. And now if we run this, there you go, task 1 tick, task 2 tick, blocking started, but everything else continued and blocking task finished, because blocking task took 5 seconds and other tasks, the async tasks, are just 200 milliseconds. But that's not the point. The point is that blocking task started, but it didn't block the execution completely for our asynchronous task as well. Asynchronous task still continued to execute, and when blocking task finished, that's the point when our Tokio join completely finished all the tasks. So how does this work? So what happens here is spawn blocking runs the blocking sleep right here, which again could be any blocking operation, on a separate thread pool. So your async runtime doesn't freeze, then waits for it to finish. And how spawn blocking works is it basically offloads your blocking code, which could be anything that you write in between this bracket, which could be your blocking code. So spawn blocking would offload that code to Tokio's dedicated blocking thread pool and returns a future so you can wait. So basically what happens is this is executed on a separate thread pool, a dedicated thread pool for blocking tasks, while your async operations can continue and you get a future, which again then you can await and return. So that's why now our execution was not blocked and we were able to successfully return or execute asynchronous tasks while blocking task was executing concurrently. So these are small optimizations. As you can see, it's just the one-liner, but it literally changed how your code executes now. It literally changes entirely your program execution time and all those stuff, because now since your async operations are not blocked, meaning your async operations can continue. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys learned something new. If you do, try it out on your end and don't worry about the code. I'll post a link in the description to my GitHub where you can find the code used in this video. I'll catch you guys in another video with another interesting topic. Until then, bye bye.